I think the song is kind of about like a little bit fantasizing about there being some sort of situation which would make all of your very rational reasons not to talk to someone no longer relevant. When the earthquake happened in Los Angeles, it was about 2 weeks before our session. And when we got in the studio together, we started talking about it. I think in Los Angeles, everyone spends a lot of time thinking about both the apocalypse and their exes.
I grew up in LA, and it is pretty common, the earthquake situation. The first time was on like 4th of July or something, I think, because we were setting up for like a little 4th of July party at my house, and all of a sudden we just start feeling the house shake, and then my pool was like, all
Whoa.
the water was coming out of my pool, and I was like, whoa, this is so wild. I haven't seen an earthquake like this in so long.
I was on a road trip with some friends, and we were listening to Julia's music. This is gonna make you uncomfortable because you hate compliments, but like
Probably.
talking about how like Julia had essentially changed pop music and that redefined what pop music could mean in our generation. And then on my navigation pops up like Julia Michaels has tagged you in a store, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It was weird, some
was
weird
funny.
cosmic shit. And then yeah, I reposted it and I sent you a message and thanked you, and then
Yeah. And then we tried to like get together for like coffee to like to hang out
yeah,
and like get to know each other.
hmm
And then we never did. And
didn't
then
happen.
yeah. And then I finally got back into town. We got to finally have like a writing session, and that's when we wrote the song.
So we
It's
met.
the first day we met.
I was distracted and in traffic. I didn't feel it when the earthquake happened. Yeah, I mean, opening line, I had just left dinner with a friend. I was in the car. It was actually one of those moments where I wasn't sure where exactly I was going to go because I had a plan that had been canceled. And I was like, do I go home? Do I find another plane? That's when the earthquake went down, and I got to my friend's place, and they asked me if I felt the earthquake. And I was like, no, there was an earthquake? She was like, yeah, everyone's freaking out about it. And I was bummed. I mean, it's just a very insensitive reaction to an otherwise serious situation where, like, something major can happen that affects people in meaningful ways, and then I'm tripping about missing out on a shared experience with my society. But it really got me thinking, were you out drinking? Were you in the living room chilling, watching television? Within the relationship, maybe you think about that trip or you think about that one special date. And that's kind of like what sustains it in sort of what you remember together. But then afterwards, I think it's sometimes just kicking it on the couch. It's like getting home from a night out with friends and just being relaxed together, just existing together. That I think is the shit that gets to you. It's been a year now. Think I figured out how to let you go and let communication die out. I think after a relationship, you put a lot of work into figuring out how to not feel connected to a person anymore, and that's not just something that fades away. Like you, it takes some work to not text them, to not look at the fucking photos. Like that takes some effort, and I think. Yeah, that moment in the song is just imagining some catastrophic event that would circumvent all of that effort, and all of a sudden, like a year of work is just like, well, fuck, like, does it even matter anymore? Now I know, you know, we know you weren't down for forever, and it's fine. I know, you know, we weren't meant for each other, and it's fine. I think it's just the recognition that, like, in a normal, non world ending scenario, both of you are on the same page about it not being something you should be in. You know, why would I want to spend forever with someone who didn't want to spend it with me? That sounds fucking awful. But if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? You'd come over and you'd stay the night. Would you love me for the hell of it? All our fears would be irrelevant. Cause you ain't waking up in the morning. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can make a bad decision if there is no consequences to those bad decisions. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? The sky'd be falling and I'd hold you tight. And there wouldn't be a reason why we would even have to say goodbye. If the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Right? If the world was ending, you would come over, right? Right. It was Julia who had that line at the end of the chorus, like, and there wouldn't be a reason why we would even have to say goodbye, which like stabbed me in the fucking heart when she first said it. A lot of my favorite songwriting, it's like articulates a feeling that you've absolutely had, but you've never really put your finger on. And I think that's what she did with that lyric.
I tried to imagine your reaction. It didn't scare me when the earthquake happened. I grew up in LA, and it is pretty common, the earthquake situation. I was actually at at a Shawn Mendes concert, and you just see his lighting rig like move like this, and you hear everyone start running out of the. It's like, where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? But it really got me thinking. That night we went drinking, stumbled in the house and didn't make it past the kitchen. It's been a year now. Think I figured out how to think about you without it ripping my heart out. Getting over somebody takes a lot of skill, because it really does. It takes a lot of effort not to hate somebody and think like, wow, you really impacted my life and you really broke my heart. And to be able to get past that and look at somebody and be like, hey, we're good now. Like, I'm good. You're good. Like, we can shake hands and like go our separate ways and like feel like content. I think the thing that really got me with JP's music is that his lyrics are so detailed. And then after you meet him, you realize that all of this information that you're listening to is true. Like, I know everything about his last relationship because it's all right there in his music.